In this video, we're going to show the installation of Windows 8.1 on a virtual machine. We're going to start by creating a new virtual machine using VMware Workstation. We have VMware Workstation 12 in this example. I click on Create a New Virtual Machine. I also could go up to File, New Virtual Machine as well. I'm going to use the Custom or Advanced installation features. Even though I don't change many of the options, it's nice to see what all the features are as I go through them. I click Next. Keep this the default for compatibility of VMware Workstation 12. And I'll install the operating system later. I want to build the hardware out first and then install the operating system after I configure the rest of the hardware. It is going to be Windows 8, so I'm choosing Microsoft for the guest operating system and then choosing Windows 8 64-bit and clicking Next again. And I'm going to be naming the machine Win8.1. Probably the most important is making sure the location is put on your USB hard drive. I'm going to find mine. For this example, mine is going to be put on my passport. I'm going to have a classes folder, and underneath classes I'm going to make a new folder for these examples, and I'm going to call it demo. It's going to be called a demo class. Underneath demo, I'm going to make a new folder, so I create one more new folder, and I call it Win8-1. It's not for Windows 8.1, it's just for the first instance of Windows 8. If I had multiple clients of Windows 8, I'd call it Win8-2, Win8-3, Win8-4. Again, making sure that I'm on my portable drive and naming it the name you want to call it, and then clicking Next. I can either boot with EFI or BIOS. We'll keep BIOS. We'll also keep the default number of processors of 1. It recommends 2 gigs of RAM. We'll keep that as a default. Both the number of processors and the amount of RAM can be changed later. And keeping it for NAT, it's keeping it in our private network. It's going to recommend LSI Logic SAS controllers for our SCSI hard drive. So we just click Next on a couple of these next screens. And we're going to create a new virtual disk. It defaults to 60 gig hard drive. That's fine. It also defaults to splitting the virtual disks into multiple files, which is also fine. And it names it automatically. We'll just leave all those as defaults. And we click Finish when we're all done. So the only thing that we changed during the installation was making sure that I chose Windows 8 as my operating system and then choosing the name appropriately and the location for the virtual machine. I'm now going to click on the CD/DVD drive, and this is going to allow me to insert essentially the CD into the disk for my operating system. To do that, I'm going to be choosing an ISO file though instead of a physical disk. So I click on Use ISO Image File, and I browse for my Windows 8.1 Evaluation ISO. It happens to be in that folder right now, but I have my ISO images, Windows, and Evaluations. So you should have a Windows 8.1 Evaluation ISO and click Open. What that does is put that ISO into the CD-ROM drive virtually, and so now if I boot my computer, it should boot to that CD, to that DVD. I prefer working in full screen mode. I have less menus around and kind of out of the way, so I do Control-Alt-Enter to get into full screen mode. And if you need to get out of the full screen mode with your mouse, you can hit Control-Enter. That gives your mouse back, and now you can move in and out. So Control-Alt lets you get in and out of the virtual machine if your mouse is stuck inside of it. In addition, if you did go to full screen, your title bar might still be up on top, and always stay up on top. To make that disappear, click on the little pin on the left-hand side. That makes that auto hide. All you have to do is go up to the top to bring it back. I'm going to choose most of the defaults. There's Windows installation. So I'm going to click Next on the language and time currency, and I'm going to click Install Now. It's going to have me read the license terms and accept them. So you click on I accept the license terms, then click Next. And then you go on to do the custom install Windows only, the advanced mode. This is for doing a clean install of Windows, which is what we're going to be doing. We only have one drive to choose from, so that's automatically selected. We click Next. And we'll let Windows do its copying and then do the installation. After your computer reboots, it's going to come up and ask for a computer name. In this example, I'm going to call it Win8.1 to match what I'm calling the computer. And then I click Next. And then it asks if I want to use Express or Custom settings. I'm going to use Customize. And I'm going to say yes, this is for a home network, home or work network. For Windows updates, for the class experience, we're going to choose to do not set up Windows updates. It's not recommended, but we don't want to be turning on our computers and having it get out to the internet and just start downloading hundreds of updates constantly in the background. So we're just going to turn off Windows updates. Later on, if we have time, we'll do the manual updates, but we do not want those to happen automatically. It'll just take a lot of time for updates and then restarting and applying updates. The rest of these settings are fine. We're going to click Next. Next screen, these are also going to be fine for what we're doing. And for the last setting, setup settings, we're going to share information with Microsoft. We're going to turn all of these off. And then we click Next. It's going to ask us to sign into our Microsoft account. We're not going to be logging into the online Microsoft account. We're going to be creating a local account. So I'm going to click Create Account. It's still going to want to have me create an online Microsoft account. Way down the bottom, I'm going to click Sign in without a Microsoft account. And now I can enter my username. For class, I'm going to be using student as the username and student for the password. I can't use the password hint of student. It won't let you use the same hint as the actual password, but you can say something like same as username in this example. And then I click Finish. It's going to finalize my settings. And that's going to create a local profile for me. Every time a new user logs into this computer, whether it's a local user or domain user, it will be creating a new profile. So this sequence of screens will show up each time a new user logs in. Once I get into my desktop, it didn't resize right, so I'm going to hit Control-Enter to go from full screen to normal screen, and then back to full screen again. And it's just not resizing correctly, but it'll fix when we install VMware tools. The first thing we want to do is check the date and time. I want to make sure that we're in a time zone. And we already have the computer name selected, but I want to go to Adjust Date and Time. And by default, it's going to go to Pacific time for all Windows. We're going to change that to US Central Time. And click OK and OK. We don't have to do anything with IP addresses with our Windows clients. They'll just be assigned DHCP in our private network, in our NATed network. So we're pretty much set with this computer. The next thing we want to do is install VMware tools. To install VMware tools, I'm going to click on VM up on my menu and click on Install VMware Tools. I'll click OK to install it. This is inserting a CD into the CD-ROM drive virtually on my Windows 8 computer. And it'll come up with a blue banner up on the top that tells me I can just click on this to have it install VMware Tools. If perchance you had missed that screen, you can scroll down and go to Windows Explorer. And you can click on the D drive, and it'll auto-run wanting to install VMware Tools. Go ahead and click Yes. Sometimes it does end up going behind other windows, so be careful with that. And I click Next for the installation, and I'll use a typical install, so I'll just click Next and then Install. When installing VMware Tools, it's going to install optimized device drivers for the virtual environment, including your network card, video driver, processor, memory, and other components. Click Finish when you're all done, and it's going to want to restart your computer. Click Yes. Once it reboots, it's going to want you to log in. So go ahead and click on the screen that comes up, and it'll bring you to the student account. We want to log in with the password of student. And once you're logged in successfully, we're all done completely installing and configuring Windows 8.1. When we are all done, we want to shut down our computer. You can right-click on the Start button and choose Shut Down or Sign Out and Shut Down. Once it's completely down and we get this screen and we see the configuration on the left and a black screen on the right, the computer is completely turned off. As a good practice for the classroom environment with working with virtual machines, it's always good to take a base snapshot. So I'm going to click up on VM up on top and take snapshot to snapshot and then take snapshot, and I'm just going to call it a base image. In the production world, it's not a great idea to have a lot of snapshots in there. It does add to latency, but for the classroom environment, you definitely want to be taking some kind of base image to be able to go back to. And that's how you install and configure Windows 8.1 in a virtual environment.